Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Visegrad 4 conference named and called Hydrogen, Present and Future in Mobility. It's my utmost pleasure to be your host today. My name is Zoltán Szolő, and I have to tell you one thing just for start. To be honest, I do not understand what's going on with the hydrogen. I know it will be important. I'm coming from the world of broadcasting and the world of sport. I've spent 18 years in the Formula One as a pit lane reporter and as a lead commentator of the Hungarian coverage. And one thing is common, ladies and gentlemen, about hydrogen and about car racing. And it's not just that Le Mans 24 Hour will introduce the hydrogen-powered car category in 2025. So they are working tirelessly day and night to create this fantastic race car machinery fueled by hydrogen on the, let's say, the oldest and most traditional car race in the world, the Le Mans 24-hour race. But there are some other common things. I'm sure that maybe you love technology and you understand the technology. And in car racing, not necessarily the fastest or the lightest will win a competition. But there is one word we can sum up the whole thing, which is efficiency. So the most efficient car will win a race, no matter what time they race, what era they race, and what regulations are in place. So I think efficiency is very, very important nowadays, even if we are talking about using the hydrogen. And the other thing is that, believe or not, this year's Dakar Rally, which is the world's toughest competition in rally racing. I mean, you have to make 7,000 or 8,000 kilometers in the desert. There was actually a hydrogen-fueled and powered truck, ladies and gentlemen. So I think it's coming, and I'm sure that you all know it's coming, and we have to discuss and we have to talk about using the hydrogen on a different ways. So this conference, it's a first of a kind. So if you like, we are writing history, ladies and gentlemen, this day and today, and you are, writing history by your presence, with your participation. So hydrogen is an element that had been with us for a long time now and will be with us in the future, no question about it. As energy source in our households, offices, factories, and as energy source of mobility by which transportation and moving in space will be possible for us without any carbon emission, because decarbonization is one of the buzzwords of the 21st century. We all know how important is that. So, ladies and gentlemen, our conference is about using the hydrogen, and we will have amazing speakers today with us in presence and online. So we will have some online features and videos during our conference. And we have a live stream, ladies and gentlemen, so just one word to our viewers on the other sides of the screen, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at the ZalaZone. This is a fantastic automotive proving ground here at the western border of Hungary, and you watch our live stream throughout the day and the conference. So once again, welcome to our viewers of the live stream. So we will have with us distinguished speakers today, experts of this industry and political decision makers from Hungary and abroad. And I really hope that at the end of the day you will take with you home the best knowledge of this high-tech industry, which will soon become a popular industry, part of our daily life. But this, let me conclude my introduction, and I would like to give the floor for a more official welcoming words. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president of the Hungarian Hydrogen Technology Association. Ladies and gentlemen, István Lepsényi.
Good morning to everybody. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, exhibitors from Hungary and other V4 countries. Welcome also to the representatives of the press. It is a great honor to be here and addressing to this V4 conference on behalf of the Hungarian hydrogen technology in this very specific space, ZalaZone. We are delightful that we had the opportunity to organize this event, even which is in one way an industrial landmark if you look around. And we are especially happy that you accepted our invitation. I mean, the representatives of the responsible ministries of V4, Mrs. Deli, Mr. Melvat, Mr. Umeda, and Mr. Weiterschutz. Welcome that you are here. Our world had substantially changed during the last years because of COVID, but this year, the events in February even changed our life more drastically. The unjustified aggression of Russians and the heroic fight of Ukrainians, not only a tragedy which brought the unnecessary suffering to millions of lives in Ukraine, but it also made a fingerprint on the world, food supply and other fields, and what is most important for us, also the question of energy supply. We are in the process, or we were in the process when we step by step phased out the hydrocarbons. We have the strategic plan, how we will do it until 2050, what are the targets, and suddenly found ourselves in the situation where we must implement these steps much more earlier and much more quicker as we planned earlier. We never thought about it, and I think that this is a very important event to find the solution for this quick moving forward. The hydrogen is really already a part of our daily life, and we're overwhelming a part of our life in the tomorrow. And yesterday we have an open day for students for the universities, and it was a fantastic feeling looking out around how enthusiastically they were studying, how they were acquiring the new technology, which will be definitely their life in the future, in the not far future. The Hungarian Hydrotechnological Association prepared a study about the Green Truck project, how we can convert the heavy trucks into hydrogen fuel cells mobility. And it's a very clear statement that it cannot be one country's own internal affair. The cost reduction of the refueling station, the location of the refueling station, the usage of the hydrogen vehicles, buses, trucks, and so on, should be coordinating from the very beginning of a project, of an application, and this information should be shared between all countries. Otherwise, if we will not know who is moving on which project, what is the standpoint, and where we are heading, we will not have enough results. We undertook a very complete task when we are speaking about the development of the hydrogen technology, because it has an effect on the vehicle manufacturers, the automotive parts suppliers, the energy market, especially in the renewable sources, the education, the research and development, and of course the government and the lawmaking as well. It already can be seen that from this very short list that we have to achieve results by working together. Results in all connected economies, unless we will have no success. So we can successful progress if we're working together in the international cooperation. This is why I want today an event with bring results, show new opportunities, and provide professional connections which will be useful for all participants, I'm absolutely sure. I wish us a successful and useful and interesting conference. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for your opening words and notes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I kindly ask you, the Deputy State Secretary for Energy and Climate Policy, Ministry for Technology and Industry, to join me on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Daniela Deli.
distinguished guests, dear ladies and gentlemen, your excellencies. How can I? Okay. Hungary acknowledges the potential of renewable hydrogen as an important participant in the decarbonization of the whole economy, as it will be used as a carbon neutral fuel for mobility, raw material for industry, energy carrier providing energy services, and the means of storing energy for the energy sector. The National Hydrogen Strategy, adopted last year, has 5 priority objectives: low carbon and carbon free hydrogen production, decarbonizing industrial hydrogen use, introducing hydrogen technology into the mobility sector, creating a supportive electricity and natural gas infrastructure, and exploiting the related industrial development opportunities. We have a technology neutral position on hydrogen production. All clean hydrogen production technologies will be considered. Electrolysis is seen as having the most prominent role in hydrogen production, but other solutions, such as biomass pyrolysis, as other biological solutions, are also being explored. Looking at the production side, domestic hydrogen production is currently fossil-based. This is the so-called gray hydrogen, which is consumed exclusively in the industry, such as refineries, ammonia production, and other chemical industry. Up to 2050, gradually we would like to switch from gray to green and blue hydrogen, at the end predominantly to green hydrogen production. We are analyzing the case of blue hydrogen from a financial viability perspective with a view to high natural gas prices. Looking at the demand side, today hydrogen is used by industry, including oil refining and ammonia production. Considering the strategic timeline, carbon-free and low-carbon hydrogen will be introduced to the petrochemical and chemical industries by gradually replacing carbon-intensive gray hydrogen. But we also need to take the first steps towards introducing hydrogen to other sectors, such as steelmaking, glass, and cement industry. One of the main objectives of the strategy is to build the basis of the high-volume, decarbonized, and low-carbon hydrogen production. Until 2030, we are aiming to produce annually around 40,000 tons of green and low-carbon hydrogen. To reach this aim, we are starting to build up the electrolyzer network required to produce green hydrogen. It is important to create a mechanism enabling the producers to be able to produce competitively priced hydrogen. More than 2/3 of the produced renewable or low-carbon hydrogen will be used in the industry, contributing to its decarbonization. It is one of our priorities because this is also contributes to our energy sovereignty efforts. We want to use hydrogen in hard-to-abate sectors, like steel, glass, and cement industry. Some of these industries are concentrated in the northeastern part of the country, where we would like to establish one of the 2 planned hydrogen valleys. Greening the transport sector by introducing green hydrogen is also a key objective for us. We are planning to have around 5,000 hydrogen-powered vehicles in Hungary in 2030. We focus on heavy-duty vehicles, for example, trucks, waste-collecting vehicles, and city buses. But hydrogen propulsion will also appear in the passenger car segment. The establishment of the refueling network will be critical. In order to satisfy demand, we calculate that by 2030, 20 refueling stations will be needed, and this figure may rise rapidly after 2040. By 2030, we aim to lay the foundations of the network for the hydrogen refueling stations in 2 phases, in line with the alternative fuels infrastructure regulation currently under negotiation. During phase 1, we aim to install 5 hydrogen refueling stations involving private capital. To create enough demand for hydrogen, we will in parallel launch a subvention scheme for the acquisition of buses and the production of green hydrogen to meet mobility needs. During phase 2, after 2025, an additional of at least 15 hydrogen refueling stations will be installed along the main transport corridors. We would like to use hydrogen as a link to the natural gas and the electricity system. In the electricity sector, hydrogen can be used in balancing services in order to build sector integration ability, primarily seasonal energy storage ability, by utilizing intersectoral synergy. Extending our balancing capabilities is crucial to further create new renewable capacities. In the natural gas infrastructure, we want to make parts of the pipeline and storage infrastructure capable for hydrogen. Mainly in the industrial usage of hydrogen, in the coming years, there will be high demand of concentrated transport of hydrogen from the producing site to industry facilities. One option is to use already existing natural gas pipelines and retrofit them for hydrogen. During the construction of the hydrogen economy, we pay special attention to exploiting the related industrial development opportunities. That means we want to focus not only on the production and the use of hydrogen, but also on the developing and manufacturing of related technologies. Looking forward, until 2030, two focal points for hydrogen are hard-to-abate industries and mobility. With regard to mobility, our short-term interventions are: it is necessary to rely on a concept for setting up the hydrogen filling network that is in line with the alternative fuels infrastructure regulation, as I mentioned already, which is expected to be adopted by the end of this year. Creating hydrogen-powered bus and possibly waste-collecting vehicle services in some cities where filling stations are located. Establishment of the basis for domestic hydrogen-powered vehicle production. With regard industrial use, to support industrial decarbonization, the industrial production of carbon-free hydrogen will be scheduled, including identification of current and potential industrial hydrogen users, the applicability of the relevant technologies under Hungarian conditions, forecasting energy and hydrogen consumption in the industries concerned, possible solutions to meet the hydrogen demand of the industries concerned, and creating a roadmap for the introduction of carbon-free hydrogen. In the short term, the main task is to create the framework, put the strategy into practice, and activate the market. This should include removing regulatory and administrative barriers, launching subvention schemes, introducing hydrogen technologies, and providing the necessary human capacity. The government is currently working on both the legislative framework and the supportive schemes. The first package of legislative proposals on hydrogen is expected in the second half of this year, and the first calls for proposals will also be launched in the autumn. We will modify the current legal environment to create legal certainty for investors and send a clear message to industry on the areas which hydrogen should be introduced. In the short term, the focus is on regulating transport use. Given that several relevant draft EU legislations are under negotiation, the legal framework may be fine-tuned once they have been adopted. An appropriate certification scheme is also needed, and the guarantee of origin institution needs to be set up for both renewable and low-carbon hydrogen. We want to promote the spread of hydrogen through various support programs aimed at the production and use of hydrogen before cost-effective competitiveness is established. Building a hydrogen economy is inconceivable without international cooperation involving all actors. Our aim is twofold. First, attracting investors in hydrogen technology to Hungary. We are keen to build cooperation in the following fields: technology transfer, setting up joint ventures for the production of electrolyzers, fuel cells, and hydrogen-powered vehicles, research and innovation activities in the field of hydrogen production, industrial and transport uses. Second, exploring and utilizing new opportunities for clean hydrogen cooperation with countries and regions with better hydrogen production potential than at home. But above all, the most important is the human factor, motivating well-educated workforce to be part of the new hydrogen economy. In order to reach this, we support the development of basic curricula in vocational training and in higher education. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much for talking about Hungary's vision, not only vision, but a strategy on hydrogen. Thank you very much. It's so great to hear that we have great and fantastic students from universities from Hungary and from abroad. Never underestimate the great ideas of young mechanics and engineers on different areas and fields. Thank you very much. I don't want to play the devil's advocate here. I hope it's not too late. I mean, we have to act. We all know, it's very clear now that as a dad of two teenagers and as a guy who just loves spend time in the nature, and we have to act now. And we are safe if you and the players of the private sector feels some business opportunities and sees some business opportunities here. We are safe. We are okay. So now we have to create this kind of environment. Thank you very much. This is very interesting to hear. What's the strategy and what's the vision of Hungary on hydrogen? And now, ladies and gentlemen, I kindly ask you, and I kindly ask to join me on the stage, the plenipotentiary of Minister Jozef Sikela, Ministry of Industry and Trade for Hydrogen Technologies from the Czech Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Petr Mervart.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's really my pleasure that I have the opportunity to talk to you here at ZalaZone, because this is, let's say, example of growth and innovation of Hungarian car industry, which really makes a lot of progress in last 20 years. We need to talk about hydrogen, because hydrogen is also highly innovative, but hydrogen is slightly changing its role. When we were putting together our hydrogen strategy 1 year ago, we were talking mostly about the reduction of CO2 and about hydrogen as a tool, how to stimulate the growth of our economy. Because we really need to turn our economy, our industry from, let's say, factories and companies who used a lot of fossil fuels to industry which will be clean. And hydrogen can play a big role in that. But as was already mentioned, hydrogen has also a new role, because with all that war in Ukraine, we are looking also for the way how to replace natural gas. And again, this is a new role for hydrogen which can be fully utilized. But we are here in ZalaZone, in automotive industry hub of Hungary. So we need definitely start with automotive. And hydrogen is very important in our strategy, and automotive is one of top priorities. The reason for that is that if we are replacing some fossil fuels, we need to be price sensitive. And the biggest question is about the prices. And if we are replacing diesel or gasoline, we can do that, and we can be on the price parity with present fuels on the price of about 5 euros per kilogram. We are still not there, but it's much easier to reach these 5 euros per kilogram than 2 euros per kilogram, which must be reached for replacement of natural gas. But in reality, the development in hydrogen is so fast that maybe we are there. Just half an hour ago, I was talking with a guy from Slovakia who has that excellent hydrogen bus. And normally, if we are calculating that consumption of the buses, we are calculating with 10 kilograms of hydrogen, per 100 kilometers. But these guys have a bus with a consumption of about 3.3 kilograms per kilogram. And with that, we are already on that parity, even with that hydrogen price for about 10 euros per kilogram. So actually, this is nice evidence that development in hydrogen is so fast that it's very difficult to keep pace with that. Zoltan said that he is not deep in the hydrogen, but I must say that even for us who should be very deep in the hydrogen, it's not easy. So if I'm preparing my presentations, I cannot do it for a longer period than 1 week, because afterward everything is old. Yesterday, you already heard that European Parliament approved the new ban on cars with a combustion engine, and definitely this will have a big influence on our development in hydrogen, because we need to roll out our sleeves and start to work much faster to put all that hype which are behind the hydrogen to the real reality. And in that, I believe that in hydrogen, we can really learn a lot from automotive industry. Because what's amazing on automotive industry is international cooperation. Because automotive industry is able to put all these cars from very small nitty-gritty parts, which are collected from all over the world. And we need to do the same in the hydrogen. Because if you have a scheme of the car on the paper, that car with a combustion engine, it's incredibly complex. There are hundreds and thousands of parts which must be put together and which must work. If you have a scheme of electric car or hydrogen car, it's very easy. Also, it's one box, the tank with hydrogen or battery and electric engine. So it's by magnitude easier. But the problem is that these bloody hydrogen and electrical cars are very expensive still. And the guys from automotive industry really did excellent job, but they had about 100 years for that. So we need to speed up. We need to speed up to do it in up to 35. So there is a lot of work which must be done. And this is not the only one issue. The next issue is definitely about the price of hydrogen. I already talked about that. So again, it seems very easy because our way of thinking is that if we are producing something, you have the input, some processing, and some output. And mostly we have that input which has some price, and after we will add some price by processing, and at the end we will get the price of the output. But with utilization of renewable energy, it's slightly different, because at the very beginning, we have the energy from the wind or from the sun, which seems to be cheap, free of charge, because it costs us nothing. And the people have a feeling that even if we process it, the hydrogen or electricity at the end should be also free of charge. But it's not true, because that processing, the devices which are in the middle are incredibly expensive. 80 or 90% of the price of the hydrogen is depreciation of that devices. And again, here, this is incredible amount for new research and development and for innovation, which must be done. We need to have a new materials. We need to be able to extend the life of that devices, to give them longer time for depreciation. We need to have some special materials which have longer lifespan. So there is a lot of new challenging things for startups and also for the companies which are already established. And this is not the last challenge. The price is probably the biggest one, but unfortunately not the last one. Because even if we have a technology and we are able to produce hydrogen for €1 per kilogram, we do not have enough renewable resources, at least in the Czech Republic. Czech Republic is a nice country for living, but unfortunately it's not very nice country for usage of renewable resources, because we do not have so much sun as guys in Italy or in Greece. We do not have so much wind as the people in Norway or in Denmark. So our utilization of renewable resources is very limited. We did some calculations, and if we would like to replace all coal, natural gas, and crude oil by renewable energy, we need to cover about 8% of the Czech Republic by solar panels. This is like a North Bohemia region, and I must say that these guys will not be very pleased if we move them and put their solar panels. So again, we need to solve these challenges, and we need, let's say, open international cooperation in that space, because at the end, the only one solution is import of hydrogen from the countries which have a surplus of renewable resources. But again, it sounds easy, but it's not easy, because transport of hydrogen and long distance is not, it's pretty difficult. So the easiest way is to build up some pipelines. This is a highly efficient way, but again, there is a small trap, because if you would like to use the pipelines, you need to have somebody who will fill the whole diameter of that by hydrogen, and somebody at the end who will use that hydrogen. And the problem is that you need all these three things. It means the producers, the tube, and the consumers in the very same time. And we already started some discussions. So one of the projects which was in, let's say, good shape was a discussion about so-called Central European hydrogen corridor, which was, let's say, refurbishing of present pipelines which are going from Ukraine through Slovakia, through Czech Republic to Germany. And we were evaluating several of these projects based on our risk analysis. We said that this is probably the best one, but unfortunately, Mr. Putin totally changed our risk analysis and totally changed the scope of that. And now we are, let's say, starting to put this, we put that project on the hold, and we are discussing some other options. But at the end, I would like to be the optimistic. I was talking about the challenges, but definitely we need to be aware of the challenges. Because, let's say, my job is to be optimistic. My job is to really push ahead the hydrogen technologies. And on one presentation, somebody came to me and said, but you are telling us that this is a problematic. But my answer was, yes, but if we are trying to reach something, we need to know what are the problems, what are the obstacles, and we really need to define them very clearly. When Americans were trying to go to the moon, nobody was going that it's enough to jump from the trampoline or to have a long ladder. They knew that there is a lot of problems, and they were in even deep troubles when they announced their mission to the moon. So it was not unimaginable. With hydrogen, it's much easier, but we have still some issues. So I hope that we'll be able to overcome them. The conferences like that are really the first step to do that. These conferences need to help us to turn the PowerPoints into the reality. And we are open for cooperation. I am looking for the cooperation. And I still believe that the hydrogen is the way how to make our world better without the emissions and without the dependency of some unfriendly regimes. So thanks a lot.
Mr. Merwart, Petra, thank you very much for your kind words. I mean, you know, this is the beauty of engineering. I mean, find solutions, and I'm sure that bright and talented engineers and guys will find this kind of solutions. Thank you very much for your words. And you mentioned the automotive industry, which is very important for us Hungarians as well. Talking about vehicles, ladies and gentlemen, you have the opportunity to test two vehicles today here at the ZalaZone. First, a hydrogen-powered bus, which will run up and down throughout the whole day and conference. So feel free to jump aboard and have a taste how to drive or how to spend some time on a running hydrogen-powered bus. And you have the opportunity to test the Toyota Mirai. You have to register for this at the Toyota Mirai desk just out here, and you are very welcome to test this fantastic car. Talking about PowerPoint, I just heard recently that PowerPoint is for people without any power and without without any point. Um, anyway, so yeah, the talk is over, and now you have to act, and we have to act together. So, what's the position and the opinion of the Slovak Republic about the hydrogen area and field? I kindly ask to join me on the stage the Special Advisor to Minister Richard Sulík, Ministry of Economy from the Slovak Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jan Vajteršúc.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, dear hydrogen positive friends, I start with vision, how to connect our V4 countries. The vision is very simple, but we need in the beginning to start with territory, with region, with hubs. But this is a point where we can, after we interconnect our countries by pipes. You can see Slovakia. You can see it was mentioned that Slovakia is a corridor for a transmission pipe from Russia through Ukraine to Western Europe. But we have also very good chance to interconnect our countries for future distribution and transition of hydrogen, renewable hydrogen. It was mentioned that our renewable potential is limited. Like Hungary, Slovakia has a very limited potential in wind. We have some solar potential, but not such a big like you have in Hungary. Poland has more potential in wind because they have sea, windy coast. So maybe this is good for them. We have also water, hydrogen, hydropower plants. But hydropower plants, they reach their limits, so we can build a new one in Slovakia. So after we reach regional development of hydrogen, we need to spread to all countries, and we need more hydrogen. And this is only way how to get enough hydrogen. We have pipes undersea. Meaning Europe have pipes undersea from East Africa, North Africa to South Europe. But we have also ports in Gdansk and south in Koper or in Krk, Croatia, that could be rebuilt to terminals, to hydrogen terminals. And then through the pipe we can pump the huge amount of hydrogen from the countries where hydrogen can be produced very cheaply. So we can reach hydrogen. My estimate is about €3 per kilograms in terminals, and we transport it to the Europe and reach hydrogen pick up from the pipe for €4. So it is very low price to really speed up the hydrogen ecosystem in V4 countries. What is important is how we use hydrogen. Slovakia has a big ammonia plant, has a big steelmaking plant, also refinery. The same in all our countries. As I know, Poland has a huge amount of ammonia plants. You have in Hungary approximately the same amount like in Slovakia. If we want to replace, according to new Repower EU plan, 75% of gray hydrogen to green hydrogen, we need huge amount of green hydrogen. It's impossible to produce it in our countries. And this target is until 2030, so it's tomorrow. So this is, I think, only one way how to get enough hydrogen for future development. I mentioned industry. Another leg is heavy duty transport. Heavy duty transport needs a big refueling station across the corridors. And there is a AFIR, alternative fuel infrastructure regulation, ongoing. And now is discussion in Brussels if AFIR will be more ambitious or, let's say, some for us not very good, but still better than nothing. More ambition means that you will have each 100 kilometer a big refueling station in 20 corridors, main corridors, mean highways, and 2 refueling station in big cities where these highways are connected. So this will be mandatory. Our plan in Slovakia is to build 25 refueling stations for Slovakia to 2030. But these, what I mentioned from Alfred, are 2 tons per day capacity, meaning a really big refueling station. But it is necessary for trucks. We want to switch from fossil fuel to green fuel in heavy-duty vehicles, and we need those grid of refueling stations across all our V4 countries. So the cooperation must be in this level, and I will be glad if we can change information between us, because I'm without advising to our minister, I'm a president of Slovak Hydrogen Association, and I would like to change information how to build and where to build such a refueling station, but not only refueling station, but all hydrogen ecosystem. Central European countries are special in meaning of all Europe. As was mentioned, we need to focus to produce hydrogen also by another ways. For example, there is kind of cheap production by pyrolysis. Maybe somebody of you heard about the process when you have a thermochemical reaction or splitting of the input material in meaning of biomass or plastic without air. So you don't have need to a big chimney, which is throwing to the air a lot of emissions. You can reach a huge amount of gas, and if you set properly the process, you can reach 40% of the gas in hydrogen. Of course, this hydrogen is not so clean like from electrolysis. You need additional devices behind to clean the hydrogen to 99.999 or 99.5, properly suitable for cars. There is another chance in our country. Hungary and Slovakia has a nuclear power plant. Of course, now is the demand to use electricity directly, but sometimes happen that the power will be available also for producing hydrogen. These sources are base load sources, meaning that capacity of electrolysis will be higher enough to return investment in short period. We need incentives to the new technologies, but the estimate of European Union is to cut capex to half in 2030. In that time, I hope, I guess, I'm sure that hydrogen technology will be competitive without any incentives. And this is our goal, to start up to pump it now with small but a little bit expensive technologies, and then reach a point when we don't need another money, another financing for the ecosystem. Our target is in Slovakia is to generate 45,000 ton hydrogen per year in 2030. We are a little bit more ambitious than in Hungary. Maybe are not so much ambitious, because if you read REPowerEU targets and we calculate to how many inhabitants living in Slovakia, we should produce more than 250 tons of hydrogen, and at the same time use this hydrogen. Target is for using, not for production. So are we ambitious enough? From this point of view, not. But those huge numbers, huge targets needs huge investments. So we are waiting for some opportunities how we can really finance our ecosystem. We have a hydrogen strategy in Slovakia. It is 1 year old strategy, and now we are really working on action plan. Action plan has 37 measures in all ecosystem, in development, in the communication, and so on. And our targets are now, like Mr. Mervar said, every week conditions are changing. So we know that next year we need to rebuild or review our plans and maybe be some more competitive. For us, it's very good to be here in Central Europe because we have this huge corridor of transmission pipe, and I know that Ukrainian partners still working on their plans, 40 gigawatts of hydrogen production in abroad. Part of this should be in Ukraine, about 15, 16. Now they have more ambitious plan, but depends how finish the situation, what's happened in Ukraine. At the end, I would say, and go to global scale, that hydrogen could solve also the migration problem. Because if countries where they have a lot of sun and wind, like African countries, Asian countries, poor countries, they can everybody they can produce cheap hydrogen and sell it, like now petrol Dubai sell to Europe. So they will be new Dubais. I don't see Dubais, but something between poor country and Dubai country. So there is a chance to give a possibility to have a job in these countries for local peoples and stay there and be a source for Europe of hydrogen. Let's start in small territories, in hubs. As I heard, you plan 2 hydrogen valleys. The first, I think, was in Vác. Will be planned in Vác, somewhere in there, in northern part of Hungary, aiming to cement industry. You have a lot of automotive industry nearby Slovakian border on the northern part. We are the same. The question is, how is the transition of those automotive industries? If you switch to completely battery industry, you cut 2/3 of jobs, because battery car has a very few parts compared to hydrogen cars. Hydrogen cars are comparable in parts with combustion engine car. So we can save jobs switching to hydrogen, also in the production of cars. So this is advantages of hydrogen, and there are a lot of steps to get 2030 and prepare first hubs, first region, and start to interconnect Europe and fulfill the targets. So I hope the cooperation with you, with Poland, with Hungary, with Czech Republic is the only way how to reach those targets. Nobody themselves can reach targets alone. So let's do it. Let's do hydrogen.
Thank you very much for Mr. Jan Weiterschutz. Yeah, we are in this together, ladies and gentlemen, so we have to find some solutions together. And please feel free to discuss, to talk about good practices, best practices, good ideas, and exchange ideas, because this is very, very important. And thank you very much for mentioning this, even social challenges we are facing. So the key of life, ladies and gentlemen, is the adaptation. We have to react quickly, and we have to adapt to the changing, very, very fast changing environment. This is the key of survival, if you like. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chairman of the National Chamber of Commerce Hydrogen Technologies Committee from Hydrogen Poland on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Tomoho Umeda.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, the honorable guests, thank you for being here, and this is a great honor for me to be here and talk. And well, I'm representing a Polish Chamber of Commerce, which is 160 organizations, associations, chambers as well as Hydrogen Poland, the Polish Association for Hydrogen Economy. So I will postpone some obvious things that already was mentioned here, and please let me go to this slide. So first of all, I would like to go back to the principles, because we are talking about not only hydrogen itself. Hydrogen is not the goal. Hydrogen is a tool to achieve decarbonization. Yes, so we have to first ask ourselves what decarbonization really means. And I can tell you what does it mean in Poland. In Poland, that means that in 2050, there will be no market for gas, for coal, and for oil. So no these fuels, which means that entire energy that is produced right now from oil, from gas, and coal in Polish economy will be replaced by something. No, it's not the hydrogen. It's renewable or clean energy, electric energy. And some part of this energy will be represented by hydrogen. But first, we need this clean energy. In Poland, right now, our entire electric energy market is 170 terawatt hours per year. But entire economy in 2050, it will be 1,000 terawatt hour per year. Among actual 170 terawatt hours of electric energy market, we have only 30 terawatt hours of clean energy, and we have to extend it up to 1,000 terawatt hours. 4 months ago, we thought that it would be 2050, but now we know that we have to do it much earlier. Yes, so this is the question mark: how much you need in Hungary, how much you need in Slovakia, in Czech Republic. Let's calculate it all together. Yes, so the number, the capacity of clean energy that we have to install to be really net zero is something that is very hard to imagine. How we can achieve it? Of course, it is impossible to achieve it if we think about this market like we think like we were practicing it until now, because there is no grids connection that is capable of connecting 1,000 terawatt hours of clean energy, whatever it is, or whatever the ratio between nuclear and renewables will be. There is no such a grid. There is no such a system that can connect it. So what does it mean? That everything what we are talking about right now here is a top-down perspective. Okay, governments want to do the transition, but it's not true. Not government will do this. It's not going to happen top-down. It will happen bottom-up. How? Because right now we are facing the biggest historical crisis, global crisis on energy. We had already crisis of oil market in 70s, but this is total energy crisis and in global scale. In Poland, that means that prices of gas, prices of coal, prices of biomass went rocket high, and all the production industries right now, cost of production rise to the level that absolutely no one could predict. And of course, margin are already gone. So no one can predict the future of the own business. And Poland, I think Hungary and our V4 group is exactly the same. We are part of supply chain for the Western countries. Yes. So our industry is in great danger at the moment, all of them. So what is the role of hydrogen? The hydrogen is an agent. This is not the fuel. This is not the final goal this is not the product like oil, like coal. This is something that helps us to transmit the energy from renewables to the final devices, to the final users. Only that. So we shouldn't overestimate the role of hydrogen when we talk about it. Because first we have to understand the role of hydrogen in the carbonization process that is happening on the bottom-up scheme. So every company, every production facility in European Union should take responsibility for their own energy supply. They are not anymore capable to reach and count on the system, because system relies on global political, geopolitical, let's say, unpredictable circumstances right now. Yes, so we cannot rely on this. Who will swear for, that gas prices will come back to the previous levels in, I don't know, next 3 years? No one can guarantee. Yes. In Poland, we got rid completely, zero Russian gas, which is absolutely great, zero Russian coal, which is absolutely great, but that means that there is no coal, because finally we found out how deeply dependent we were on Russian fossil fuels. So now, when we don't have it at all. Prices for the coal was 300 zloty 1 year ago. Right now is 2,500 zloty. Yes, so there is no biomass, because biomass was coming from Belarus and Ukraine. So there is no biomass. Prices are really, I even don't know what is the prices today. The gas, of course, yes, the gas is the gas is crazy, but also every products based on gas. We talked about ammonia and fertilizers. So 1 ton of ammonia right now is $1,400. It was 200, 300, 400 in normal times, let's say, in the past. So having this in mind, we have to understand that the responsibility for the transition is not relying on governments, even not on European Union. We have to find a way how these subsidies, how this money from European Union can reach the real deal, which is the bottom-up transition, the local governments that has to transit from heating systems, district heating system, from coal to something that's not emitting anything. Yes, for example, maybe hydrogen is one of the solutions, but heat pumps, electrodes, whatever. So if we see this in a whole, then we can understand what the historical moment we are in. This is not just a change of technology. This is the like change of the epoch. Yes, the era. It's like transition from the Stone Age to the Iron Age, something like this. So in this case, if we are aware of these, then we have to encourage all of us, all of companies, all of local governments to enter this path, not wait for government, not wait for the subsidies. Because why? Because this is not only the problem that the prices are high. There is even bigger problem than that. And here I have the slide for this. Yes. The taxonomy. I mentioned that we are the big supply chain for Western companies, and Western companies, especially on this top of the pyramid of the supply chains. Right now, they have to keep their taxonomical order. So they have to go green. They have to clean up their supply chains from non-green companies. And now, today, it just began. This is just a, let's say, marketing, ESG, But in 5 years, I can guarantee, in 5 years, the best practice of competition will be to question whether my competitor is really green or not. And even is with guarantees of origin set up by member state of European Union, it's not defined whether in the other member state of European Union these guarantees of origin won't be questioned. Like, for example, Polish guarantees of origin that we can buy right now. No one going to honor this because we are using grid connections, and in our grid, 75% of energy is from coal. So even if we have the paper, okay, I paid for the green, in Germany, no one will accept this. Yes. So we have to go off grid, all of us. We have to integrate vertically. We have to understand that this is the end of the world, that someone was supplying us with energy and we were safe because we were just paying for this energy, and That wasn't our problem. Now, to achieve this 1,000 terawatt hours in Poland, every energy user must produce energy for himself, and that's the only way to achieve this goal. And the hydrogen is a part of it. Hydrogen is a very important part to store this energy in seasonal perspective. It's very important to make ammonia, for example, for fertilizers, food security. For example, in Poland, we produce right now 2.5 million tons of ammonia. If Grupa Azoty, the biggest Polish fertilizer company, would like to go green, they should install 24 gigawatts of renewables. Is it possible? No, of course not. No one will install 24 gigawatts of renewables as a single company. So what's going to happen? The market will disperse. The market will be distributed market of everything, of energy, of hydrogen, of ammonia, of methanol, ethanol, every product that is based on green hydrogen. And this is how this market will reshape. And this is the future. So every strategy that is made on the state level, every activities of the state are very, very precious. Every ideas how we send big quantities of hydrogen via pipelines are great. But okay, how much hydrogen we have to send by pipeline to make it reasonable? Thousands, hundreds, thousands of tons. Yes, so hundreds, thousands of tons means dozens of gigawatts of installed renewables. We're not going to do this like there will be one big company like utility that is producing big amount of hydrogen. No, that will be dispersed market, distributed market, like, I don't know, milk production, small farmers producing milk and they are sending this to the milk factory. This is more like that. So we have to be aware of this because the responsibility on this transition relies on shoulders of each of us, each of us, single one, not governments, not European Union, not subsidies. Don't wait. And the mobility is the last part of it. Of course, it's very important because it's easy to understand, but hydrogen in mobility and hydrogen that we need for mobility is the only part of the decarbonization market. So, okay, let's be it. Let's use the hydrogen for mobility, but then we need this hydrogen on the market. And if we produce hydrogen as a product, we never will find business equation, economical equation of this, especially in countries like here, like before. We have maybe a little bit better conditions for renewables, but not that good as Portugal, for example. So still, if we produce hydrogen for hydrogen, it will be extremely expensive. But if we producing something else and we are sector coupling, we are making polygeneration. For example, we are producing heat, and the hydrogen can be a byproduct from heat producing. Yes, then we can reach the prices and the role of hydrogen, but in the very complex system, not simple system as we had, something producing something. Yes, so we installed the systems that producing many things, polygenerational systems with highest possible energy efficiency, with highest possible sector coupling scheme, and then we can produce heat, cold, energy, hydrogen, oxygen, ammonia, and other products. And all of these are coming from one system. And then we can find the equation. Not only that, only in this way. This is why it needs a complex approach. It needs integration, vertical integration. Maybe the communities, this is the answer. And there is this Energy Community Directive, which is something, for me, the most important in recent directives, that it allows us to cooperate together on the local level, local governments with local companies, yes, with citizens, with households. For example, in Poland, we have project in one of the rural local government, to 90% of households has a PVs on the roofs. And it's completely inefficient because they put all this energy to the grid. And of course, the grid is paying them some small money. But what if we can store this energy and leave it there? Yes, and this is what we do in Poland. And every day, the new projects are coming, the new local governments are coming, new companies are coming, and this is happening. And it's under the radar. We're not going to observe it in governmental reports because these are the initiatives of the people, and this is happening. So I'm fully optimistic that it is possible. It is possible now with actually existing technologies, affordable, reachable, and all of us, really, we can start today. And today is already late. Please remember that. Thank you very much.
Very, very important words by Tomoho Umeda. Thank you very much. It was great to hear, and of course, government can help, but it's coming. The whole thing, the organizing of things, coming from down and from the level of the citizens. I mean, the single persons. We have to rethink our, let's say, mobility and consuming, etc. Thank you very much. This is not a typical Polish name, Tomoho Umeda. Oh, really? Watashi no namae wa Zoltan desu. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much. To close this part and the first part of our conference, we will have a pre-recorded video message. Ladies and gentlemen, in the next few minutes, please direct your attention to the big screen because we have a message from the European Commission Directorate General for Mobility and Transport, Maja Bakran-Markic.
Warm greetings from Brussels, and first of all, I would really like to thank the organizers for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity to address you today on this important topic of hydrogen and hydrogen in mobility. As you all know, transport is a major contributor to climate change, and transport is emitting about a quarter of greenhouse gas emissions in the EU. To achieve climate neutrality, the EU needs to reduce transport emissions by about 90% by 2050. So transitioning the transport system not only requires new powertrains in vehicles, but it will really fundamentally alter value chains. Hydrogen is one of the most promising decarbonization options for heavy-duty road vehicles, waterborne, rail, and aeronautic applications. And all this because hydrogen provides sufficient power for long ranges and high payloads, making it ideal for heavy-duty trucks, buses, and coaches. Hydrogen is also a very suitable option for larger passenger ships, inland ships, as well as potentially for cruise ships. Today, Europe is the leader in hydrogen technology. In aviation, we expect hydrogen-powered short-range aircraft in service as early as 2035. Until that day, sustainable aviation fuels will help with immediate decarbonization, including low-carbon synthetic fuels derived from hydrogen. So we also see possible areas for growth. The analysis underpinning our mobility strategy found that for us to reach climate neutrality by 2050, hydrogen should provide around 20% of the transport fuel mix. Low-carbon synthetic fuels derived from hydrogen would need to contribute an additional 20% of the fuel mix. It is clear that increased deployment and use of renewable and low-carbon fuels must go hand in hand with the creation of a comprehensive network of refueling infrastructure. Revising our TEN-T regulation will be key to make the Trans-European Transport Network a key enabler. In addition, the proposed revision of the Alternative Fuels Infrastructure Regulation aims to ensure that sufficient interoperable network will be in place throughout the EU. The density of the network is imperative for the success heights of hydrogen in transport. To rapidly boost the supply of renewable fuels, including synthetic fuels, in these two transport modes, we have set up a new industrial alliance. The alliance is now open for member applications and will meet at its first General Assembly in July. I would strongly encourage businesses and organizations active in these two transport modes to apply and become a member. Hydrogen, along with other zero-emission technologies, is truly our passport for the future growth of the transport sector, and we have made it clear already in the European Green Deal and in the Fit for 55 package. We wanted hydrogen to be a backbone of our response to both the climate urgency and the recovery from economic crisis caused by the pandemic. Today, we have yet another important task for hydrogen. Following the brutal Russian invasion on Ukraine, we have to radically reevaluate where we get our energy supplies and cut to zero our dependency on Russian fossil fuels. With the adoption of the REPowerEU plan on 18th of May, we intensified our efforts to phase out fossil fuels from our economy. We have set an ambitious target that by 2030, the EU should produce domestically 10 million tons of renewable hydrogen and import an additional 10 million tons. To accelerate hydrogen projects, additional funding of 200 million euros is set aside for research, and we in the Commission will complete the assessment of the first important projects of common European interest by the summer. As you can see from this short intervention, we really believe that hydrogen is an important element of this future transformation of transport. With this, I will end here, and I wish you a very successful conference today. Thank you very much.